I popped out of my body. And that was shocking to me. I was like, what is happening? So I felt like I went through this veil, like as thin as saran wrap, and I popped out. And I immediately felt the difference between time and eternity. And I said, oh, I'm dead. Oh, like, geez.
Yes, Donna, thank you so much for giving us a chance to speak to you today. So Donna had a near-death experience following a boating accident. You also had a shared death experience with your brother-in-law, and what I found quite interesting, you also put your psychic abilities to use with the psychic detective team, which I'd love to hear more about. But yeah, why don't we start with your near-death experience and take it from there?
Well, first of all, thank you, Dani, for all the work that you're doing on behalf of IANDS, and I
Well, thank
appreciate you
you.
asking to be on. So thank you. So it was a boating accident up in northern New York State on a lake called Bear Lake, the summer of 1998. And we were out enjoying ourselves, and we decided to go on a lake toy called the Bullet because it looks like a bullet with pontoons. And you're hooked up to the boat via a ski tow rope, but we weren't water skiing. And my sister and I decided to go first. So we were on the pontoon, and my brother-in-law, his nephew and his nephew's daughter, 2-year-old daughter, were on the boat. So that's who the people were. And so they take you out as you're on the pontoon, and you get out in the middle of the lake, and they drive around in circles to create a wake, hoping to knock you off, and you're laughing and having a great time. And they come around and pick you up, you get in the boat, and you get back on the boat, and you do this, and we were having great fun. And the boat had a pretty good powered motor on it, so we could do both the skiing and we could do fishing and all those kinds of things on the boat. So I think about the third time around, Dani, when we fell off and got back on the boat, we got back on the Bullet, and we were taking the rope, the slack out of the rope, so that we would be like 30 or 40 feet away from the boat before they started up again. So that's what we were doing. We have our life jackets on, and my brother-in-law started yelling, "Get off the Bullet, the boat is sinking." Now that was physically impossible for that boat to take on any water because of how he torque wrenches the screw into the boat. So that was shocking. So we're kind of shocked. And so I looked behind me. My sister threw the rope to the left because I want to see where you're throwing the rope. And we got off the Bullet on the right side of the Bullet. Now the Bullet had started drifting out in front of me. And I looked down and I saw the rope was now somehow tied to my knee. And I thought, how can a nylon rope that floats go underwater and be wrapped around my leg when I heard the boat start? And I looked down and I went, oh, this is going to hurt. So he saw, all he could see was the Bullet. He saw that we got into the water, and he's like, okay, I can take off. So he starts the engine and takes off, and it strangles my leg to the bone above the knee. And I'm being dragged underwater. And it's a powerful boat. He's in a hurry, so he gunned it. And I just was in so much pain on that tow rope. And I'm being dragged underwater, and the force is hitting all the air out of my chest. And I'm going, oh, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I can't bend over. I can't undo anything. Now I know how I'm going to die. Where are they going to have the funeral? Will they have it in New York? Will they have it in Arizona? I'm thinking these kind of thoughts when all of a sudden I popped out of my body. And that was shocking to me. I was like, what is happening? So I felt like I went through this veil, like as thin as saran wrap, and I popped out, and all kinds of things began happening. And I said, oh, I'm dead. Oh, like, geez. And I immediately felt the difference between time and eternity. Like all of a sudden, there was no time where I was. And I don't know how to explain that concept. If you had other NDEers try to explain that. And I felt like I was moving up and away from the earth. And even though I didn't have a body, it felt like I did. So I'm about to, this part of the story, I'm going to tell it, act it out as if I'm, have a body, but you have a sight, you have your consciousness. And I said, oh, the cells in my body started vibrating. I could feel every cell in my body, even though I didn't have one, but it felt like it. And it's like probably an amputee still feels that phantom limb. It's almost like that. And they're laughing and giggling. I look down and I'm saying, why are you guys laughing? And, the earth is round, but as something is coming up on the edge of the earth. And I realized it's the creator of the universe coming up. And I went, oh, now I know. You guys are so excited. Because they kept saying, he's coming, he's coming. All of a sudden, boom. All kinds of things began to happen. I looked back down to earth like, oh, that's going to ruin everybody's day. And as a pilot, we have a saying, if you crash, there's going to be a lot of paperwork and you're going to ruin everybody's day. So I kind of had that thought. And some being, not God, said, don't worry. And as soon as they said that, I didn't worry. It's like the earth vanished. Everything below me was vanished. And I was just looking ahead, forward, in the now. Everything is in the now, right now. And I'm on my way up and I'm going to meet the creator of the universe. And I said, oh my God, you're the creator of the universe. And so telepathy is not like here, like I'd say, Dani, what am I thinking? Telepathy. And you have to think what I'm thinking. There, it's instant. It's God is saying something and I'm saying something and I hear him and he hears me all at the same time, even though there's no time, this weird kind of telepathy. And I said, you are the creator of the universe, as he says, I am the creator of the universe. And I could feel this love that I think every NDE talks about love beyond comprehension. It was like the greatest love. And I'm coming up close to him and I kind of leaned in and I could feel like this hug. And how he presented himself to me is like, all I can say is the Aurora Borealis, this big energy field, crackling alive energy. It wasn't the old man in the sky. And there's no need for gender over there. So it wasn't a he or a she or an it. It was the creator of the universe. And I had this, you start gaining all this knowledge, but the love, it felt like it was shooting through me, encompassing me. It was beyond belief. And I'm just, getting this hug and I'm getting this knowledge. And I hear God say, well, Donna, what would you like to do? I was like, so in psychology, we do active listening. You say back to the person. So God, what I hear you saying is, I'm doing active listening with God. Like, come on. So I'm actually doing this. I'm going, so what I hear you saying is you want to know whether I want to live or whether I want to die. And then the Aurora Borealis just crackled laughing. It just like this big, great laughter. And there's like, oh, there's my Donna, And I could see a line, or it felt like there was a line to my right, a line across that was like a demarcation line where I'm dead, I'm drowned, but I'm not dead. I'm drowned, I'm dead, but I have a chance to go back. But I know if I cross that line, it was dead. I wasn't coming back. So in a split second, without thinking really, I said, well, since you made me, I give the choice to you. And as soon as I did that, it was like there was a pause, even though there's no time, but it was like a pause to really realize what you just did. You gave away your choice. I give the choice to you. And in this pause, it felt like 3 seconds or 3 million years. It just felt like I had no idea, but I knew at that moment what choice and surrender meant, how important that was. And I'm waiting for an answer because when you surrender like this, you have no idea what's going to come next. I gave the choice to you. What's going to happen to me? I don't know. And I just waited and I could hear, when you go back, you will tell everybody about the importance of choice. I've given you human beings this choice. And it didn't dawn on me, he said, when you go back, it was like, so what's going to happen? So it was like, I was unhinged, like I was floating and became unhinged and just rocketed back to earth and snapped back into my dead body. And I'm like, how are they going to get the rope out of my leg? It's embedded. It's strangled to the bone. It's embedded. The knot is embedded in my leg. When the knot came undone, and I go, oh, I'm going to live. And I felt human hands under my armpits lifting me. And I thought, oh, my sister's here. So I get to the top, and all of a sudden, all this water's coming out of me, and no one was there. And on the boat stopped, and my brother-in-law said someone tapped him on the shoulder, and he turned around, and there's no one there, but he could see the bullet moving really bad, and he stopped the boat, and that's when I snapped back in. And when the rope came undone, I got up to the top, and there was no one there.
Thank you for sharing, Donna. So I know you had a shared death experience with your brother-in-law as well. Would you mind telling us a little bit about it?
So for a year, I had to deal with trying to heal that wound. They got me in the ambulance in the hospital, and they unwrapped my leg because we wrapped it with towels and ice. And we got there, and I thought, it's going to be amputated. It's going to be gone. Because I grabbed my calf out when I was out there, because I thought, when I looked down, I thought, oh, I've lost my leg. But it's attached, so I'm going to hold on to my calf, because if I twitch and kick it off, I want to have it with me. They could reattach it in the emergency room. So I'm in the emergency room, and they realized when they took off all the towels and everything that it was not a amputation, but it was a strangulation. So what was happening was that when that rope came undone, it started to swell. And I thought they would do surgery. I thought my leg would burst and they would have to do surgery, but we iced it enough and had enough pressure on it. All they did was do an ace bandage and morphine and some drugs and some antibiotics because of all the lake water I swallowed. So for a year, I'm trying to get my life back. I'm teaching immediately. I go into teaching that fall, but I'm dealing with this leg issue. And so finally, after a couple of years, it's healing, and we realized the nasty scar that it left on my leg. So whenever I'd go back to Buffalo with my family, I couldn't wear shorts because my brother-in-law felt so guilty. He thought he killed me, that I couldn't really wear shorts in the summer because he couldn't see the scar, because it just so bothered him. It would ruin the whole vacation that I would have. So this last April, a year ago now, in April, I got a call saying my brother-in-law, Wes, has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he doesn't have long to live. You better get up here. And really it was really almost a month from the day he was told he had cancer to the day he died. So I got up there in time, and he was going fast. Every day was pretty bad. So I got a chance to sit with him, and this was almost 27 years later. 27 years, we haven't been able to talk about it. And I looked at him, he said, Donna, I got to tell you, I'm really sorry. And I go, Wes, let's just talk about this. I said, what happened. It was an accident. And I've been able to help people through my stories.
Yeah.
So what you did was, you're not to ever talk about this being your fault or whatever. Let's get that out of the way. And then he had a really hard time with facing death with regard to being Catholic. Was he going to go to purgatory? Was he, what was going to happen? And I said, well, Wes, we've never talked about this, but I'm going to tell you what happened that day and what I saw and what I felt. And I'm a teacher, so here's your homework. From now until you die, you're not going to you're going to stop thinking about heaven, hell, and purgatory. You're going to start planning your after party. So I want you to start thinking about who's going to meet you over there. Are you going to have a big banquet? What kind of food are you going to have? Just anything that could get him off this guilt thing. You don't spend your time. When you get over there, it's going to be love and beauty. And I kept telling him all these things. We talked for a couple of hours. And the next day, I went home, and the next day I come back. And as I walked in the door, he looked at me, pointed at me, he goes, you better be right. I said, I am right. So let's talk some more. So we talked a little more, and I told him about what a shared death experience is. And I said, if I have your permission, can we both have have a shared death experience with you? And when you go over there, I want to be able to show you around and all that. So we got to visit a couple more days, and I had to get back to Denver. I got to say goodbye to him when he was alive. Anyways. I get back home, and I said to my sister, I go, look, he's going to die tomorrow night. He's waiting for his sister to come in from Arizona, and then he's going to pass. Just be prepared. Don't tell Cindy, his wife, my sister. Just kind of keep it. Just so you know. I get back to Denver the next night or that night. I wake up and I go, oh, he's transitioning. He's passing right now. Oh, I'm thinking, get a shared death experience. So I wake up and I look up and I could see the tunnel. I didn't have a tunnel, but I could see his tunnel and him. He's like in the Superman pose. He didn't look back at me. He was taking off. And I go, yes, wait for me. Because I thought I could show him around. I could introduce him to some people. I thought we'd have this really nice thing. And he took off and he didn't turn back to me. But as he's going away, he goes, oh, I'm good. You prepared me. I can't wait to get there, So that was it. I had a shared death with him, but he took off.
That's great. Yeah, well, it sounds like you did your part anyway, so there was not much else to do. So I'm actually very interested in how these experiences tend to change the way that people look at life. So I'd be curious to know, first of all, what were your views on life after death before the experience and how that's changed since?
I didn't have any view of life after death. I guess whenever I would think about death, it'd be like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not worried about it. I just didn't know, I don't have any preconceived notions of what it would be. I was born and raised Catholic, left the church and looked around at all the different religions and kind of came back. So I'm not sure. I just was kind of this eclectic kind of philosophical, whatever person. It's my own thing. I'm doing my own thing. And what I believe, I don't really have to share with anybody. I'm just going along. After being on the other side, it blew me under the water. It's like nothing I was taught or no discussions anywhere or in philosophy or any other religion. This is nothing what I thought. And people say, well, you're going to see what you thought. You're going to see what your belief system is. I'm sorry, that's not my experience. It was not anything what I thought I was going to see, or I thought maybe I would see some of the saints I know that they'd show up. It was like, no, it wasn't anything like that. So I had to come back and it just changed my whole cosmology. Like what was that? And I had to come back and talk about choices. I don't even know what happened. I didn't even know there was something called near death. I didn't know there was something called shared death. I didn't know that there were communities. I was like, talking to my family about this was like, okay, don't even talk to us about this. You're right. Crazy, or, it's just made it up. And I'm like, no, I didn't make it up. I couldn't have conceived of this. And so I had a best friend that understood. And whenever anything come up, I'd say, hey, Mary Lou, this happened. This was said. She said, oh, okay, that was okay. And then I was going to the Monroe Institute, like 17 years later. 17 years, I didn't talk really to anybody. I just would try to figure out what was said, what was done. And my friend, Dr. Scott Taylor, who was the president of Monroe at the time, said, come to the near-death workshop. And I said, why would I come? I already died. I'll come and hear what other people have to say. Okay, so I did. And it was like life-changing for me because I began having my tribe was like Joe Dispenza. My tribe was the Monroe Institute and Tom Campbell. And it just, the IANDS Institute, I began realizing what really might have happened to me. And no, I wasn't crazy because all the research that Dr. Taylor and PMH Atwater and Dr. Gregson, all those people that did all these research, I began hearing about it and found my tribe.
As we mentioned earlier, so you worked a little bit with a psychic detective team. What was that like?
I'm starting to realize that my psychic abilities are starting to open up more. I'm starting to realize that what really did happen to me, what were the conversations. So I started trying to get into what does this mean, and taking courses and workshops and seeing what other people were doing. And I started taking classes from Lori Williams on doing remote viewing. Because I could remote view. I didn't know that I was remote viewing. I thought everybody could do this. So I started taking classes, and someone said, well, why don't you take remote viewing from Pam Coronado? And so I started doing that. And she has a little psychic detective group. So I started taking beginner, intermediate, advanced, and taking classes in intuition. And so we were on a team. Like, I joined the Wednesday group. So Pam would come in and say, okay, here's a case. And you didn't know if it was a real case or a practice case. And you start developing your intuition and you start remote viewing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I said to my nephew, and he started saying, I started telling him what I could do, like, let me show you some things that I can do. Because I thought I could maybe help him at work, but he wanted to do sports. So why don't you predict these football games? We were going into the NFL playoffs. So I said, okay, we'll do this. So for six games, we did what's called the ARV type of remote viewing, and you can have yes or no. It's like a binary. You have to choose between the Bills and the Dolphins. It's binary. It's either going to be one or the other. So
okay.
You got a 50-50 shot at that. And so you do it by pictures. So someone has to be a monitor. So my friend was a monitor, and she had to find pictures. This picture, a chair would represent if the Bills won, and a boat was another one. They had to be so distinct from another one. And on a Friday at 9:00, I would go remote view. You got 20 minutes. Go remote view. Which one? Just remote view what you're seeing. You have no idea if I knew it was football, but I didn't know what teams or anything like that. So you draw and you sketch. You do your remote viewing process, and you come out and you give the picture to the monitor, and they have to figure out, was it closer to the chair? What you drew is closer to the boat. Anyways, it's associative remote viewing, and I got 6 out of 6.
Wow.
So every game, my nephew was very happy because he bet on the games. I did not bet. So I decided I wanted to do more than just bet on football games. So I found out about Pam and joined the psychic detective because I wanted to find missing people. That would seem to a better cause than football games.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. So you mentioned earlier about the importance of choice. Would you mind elaborating a little bit on that?
So I've been going on podcasts, and I was trying to tell people about choice in little sound bites. Like, I get 2 minutes to talk about choice. And I get off the podcast and go, well, that wasn't really it. That was barely scratching surface. I don't know how to talk to people about this choice thing. So with the help of my angels, we put together a PowerPoint. I just sat like I did with your remote viewing and put together a PowerPoint. And I did a PowerPoint workshop on this, choices for beginners, for IANDS in February. And up on my website, exploraconsciousness.com, it's the leftover PowerPoint without sound. And I'm putting a workbook together and to do online classes about choice, because there's more to the choice than just what am I going to wear today, or more than what am I going to eat for dinner. There's more to choice. The importance of choices is how we choose to think about people mostly. And you can have choices about how you believe about pets, animals, the planet, Earth, whatever. So there's a whole, and also one of the things I taught was psychology. So there's a whole psychology of thinking that I talk about and teach about choice, because it comes down to how do you think about someone else? And I wrap it around something in psychology called the fundamental attribution error. So don't make this error. And that's someone, you think about someone and you attribute hence attribution. You attribute their behavior or what they're saying to either their personality or the situation. And most people default to the personality. Oh, that person did this because they're dumb, they're stupid, they're lazy, we start making these choices, and those choices have ramifications for you in the evolution of your soul and how you move forward in your evolution. And so I teach about choice with regard to, you want to choose love first, kindness, not fear, not judgment, not shame, not guilt. And so that's a whole topic that needs to be done. So I have a course for choices for beginners, then we're developing one for intermediate and then one for the advanced. So get people thinking about, and what I think that the creator of the universe asked me to come back and do, but you can't do it in a soundbite.
Absolutely. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned from your near-death experience?
That we're more than our physical bodies. There's more dimensions than one, in that we picked Earth as toughest one of the tougher dimensions, because life's tough here because of choices and free will. But what transcends all of that is being aware of what you're doing and making good choices and evolving in love. So love is the overwhelming thing. I didn't see on the other side shame, guilt, judgment. I didn't see any of that. It was about love. The biggest thing is love, 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 in a way that you have to just swallow who you are. I mean, just grow up and start realizing how you're impacting yourself, others, planet, everything. Everything that you say or do or think has an impact.
So why do you think we are here on Earth?
To evolve in love, to wherever we're born, we have our past erased from us. We starting from scratch, but not quite. There's a lot of, if you notice some of the people that as young children, you go, man, they're an old soul. They've really evolved. It's like, yeah, they do. You come back. But what you're trying to do is wherever you started to whenever you leave in this iteration is an evolution of your soul. You're here to, it's tough. This isn't easy. I tell people this isn't heaven. So you have to make the tough choices. So it's like a school of learning, or it's sometimes a hospital. Sometimes it's, but if you would just transcend all that and grow up and make better choices. Can you imagine, if you will, you get a group of souls that travel with you and you get to meet with the creator and you go over, well, where is my soul right now? Well, what would be good? I think I'll pick Earth. That's the toughest one. I can evolve the fastest from Earth because it's the toughest. So what are the skills and things I need to learn now? So you gather before, and you got this little checklist. You go, I'm going to have this, this, and this because I need to learn this, this, and this. And so you're born and you forget all that. It's like you have this meeting in your tribes, and right before you're born, God gives you a kiss on the forehead and says, there you go, off you go. You wake up and you go, what? What is this?
This is not what I signed up for.
Sometimes even knowing all this, there would be something that'll happen in my life. And for example, last August, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So you go, okay, I signed up for breast cancer. Okay. So I've had over 27 surgeries through sports and other things. I'm like, I sign up for that? Okay. It's like, I can't believe I signed up for that. But how can you evolve in love with that? Because pain's a tough one. Pain is tough and loss is tough. So I'm signing up for that.
Yeah. What's your idea of the creator these days?
I've never left what I saw. Every night I get to go back. Not in the same way, but I get to meditate, and I say he for the sake of argument, but the creator is everything. So I get to go back to that hug. So it's never changed from that day.
Interesting. And what do you think God made us?
He made us because he loves us. He loves his creation. He loves everything that he has created. It gives him great joy. And great joy. 8 billion people are here. He gets to have 8 billion different experiences. And there'll be 8 different NEDs. is we all don't have the same life. No one in the 8 billion on this planet have the same life. So we're not going to have the same death experience. God loves us. So he knows 8 billion souls. I mean, it's incredible. And there's more, and there's more, and there's more.
Yeah. What would you recommend the people to do to try and perhaps come to terms with the notion of an afterlife?
Well, you meet people where they are. And if someone is so skeptical and closed, they're going to say things like, I don't believe you, it's just your brain. People that are on ayahuasca have the same experience. They're going to say whatever that they can, because what people need to do to get through this life, Dani, is they have to have a belief system that they can take with them every single day in order to make this place on earth bearable.
Yeah.
So if their belief system is skeptical, but that's keeping them alive and going. So it's like, sometimes skeptics can read a book or hear a piece of music or hear someone's talk, and that's what changes them. But for me, it would be if you're in front of me and you're telling me, well, everything you're saying is, I've heard everything from it's just your dead brain, or it's from the devil, or so they're telling you more about where they are.
Yes.
In their belief system. So whenever I'm doing I'm sports medicine acupuncturist. So whenever I have my patient, it's like a goal would be to move someone 1 degree of perception. That would be a goal. It would be like, I can show you my leg. You can see my scar. How do you think I got this? Here's a physical proof of something happened to me. So you can choose to take one thing that I've said that makes sense to you and let that percolate. And I can also have my guardian angel talk to your guardian angel and help till the soil and help plant the seed for you to know. See, they have skepticism, faith, but I have knowledge.
That's great. Well, actually, you just raised an interesting point. Is there anything that people can do to try and get in touch with their angels army?
Listen, they're right there. Dani, they're right. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 that I sense around you right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it's very subtle. So sometimes, most of the time it's subtle. Sometimes it's not. But you get just like a friend. So when you're a little kid and you have a friend, you want to see them every day. Let's go play. Let's go do this. Let's have some things in common. Well, that's what you do with your angels. Hey, I know you're out there. You can't be closed. Or again, the skeptics. So they're talking to you all the time through other people, through podcasts, through books, through music, through all kinds of things are being communicated to you if you can realize when things happen and you don't go, oh, isn't that a coincidence? Oh, isn't that funny? And if you start saying, oh, okay, what's your name? Can you tell me your name? Do you have a name? If not, what's important to you? I want to get to know you. They don't show up on the telephone, they don't call you, hey, Donna. It's going to come in ways that in these subtle ways that you can take classes in intuition. You can take all kinds of classes out there to help you understand what you're feeling or hearing or seeing.
Thank you so much, Donna. Well, I have one last question for you, if I may. What's the meaning of life?
Is to love yourself, love your family, love your neighborhood, love the community, love your state, love the world, love the planet. And when you look down on Earth from space, there are no boundaries.
Yeah.
So there's no boundaries for the love that you should have. And next question people ask, what if you're in a tough situation, you're in an abusive situation, or you're, the tough things in life. We haven't talked about the tough things in life. And I know there's tough people in tough situations. And there's sometimes you can't get out of, not work with, I don't want to say that, but associated with folks in really tough situations. And at night, I got my book, I put my names in there. And So when I sleep, I ask my angels to keep up the work, do work that I can on the ethereal scales.
That's great. Donna, are there any parting messages you would like to leave us with today?
I think on a personal level, when people go on podcasts and they talk about their NDE, and people want to email me about everything, like I have an answer for everything, I don't. But realize that when we're talking, it's very hard for the NDEer to talk. They're very vulnerable. People out there that are trolling, that'll troll this, and they'll say things. It's really a reflection of you, so be careful.
Yeah.
Remember, when you point, three are pointing back at you. So
That's true.
just be kind to people that are telling their story and are vulnerable. Stop and think about that. I guess that would be my big thing, would be just, even if we've been on the other side, we don't know every answer that you send us. We don't know. I get very specific questions about people's families and people and what they're doing and saying. I don't know everything.
Donna, thank you so much for the lovely conversation.
Dani, thank you, because it's podcasts like this and organizations like IANDS that are doing that work, that are giving us credibility and giving us science. But thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
No, likewise. So thank you so much. Wishing you all the best. And yes, bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Ta-ta. Oh, hi there. Well, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the IANDS community, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and maybe share with the ones you love. If you're looking for another video to watch, I think this could be a very good one. New episodes out every Friday. And until then, enjoy the stream we all call live and live the love you wish to see in the world. Bye for now.